Hello friends, myself Aarti Biradar. Today I will be discussing international staffing. So first we'll start with the meaning of international staffing. It refers to the process of providing staff for the subsidiary in various countries. This means that international staffing is concerned with the recruitment and selection of the expatriate and also the host country nationals or the local people in the country where the subsidiary is located. It means if you want to open new branch in USA, so you need a staff. So allocating a staff into various branch across the world is called as a international staffing. Example of if you are having a business in India and you want to open a new plant in a USA. So to locking a business in USA, you are going to allocating a staff in that particular country. So this process is called as a staffing. Next we will discuss different approaches of different approaches to multinational staffing regions. The first is ethnocentric staffing approach. Ethnocentric staffing approach is staffing approach that is used in companies that has primarily international strategic orientation. Means in this approach, they use the parent country nationals. Means sent from the company headquarters to the staff most, if not all, of the senior managerial position throughout the firm's global operation. It means in this approach all key positions are filled by parent country nations. Means if your company is located in India, you want to open new branch in USA, then firm sending their employees for managerial position in a USA branch. It means here the firm is sending their country employees to look over a business which is situated in a other country. So that is called as a ethnocentric approaches. Next is polycentric staffing approach. This polycentric staffing approach is also used by the host country nationals in managing the overall overseas or overall operations. It means in this approach, companies hire a host country nationals employees to manage their subsidiaries. Suppose if you are having a business in a USA, to look over a business of USA's, you are going to hiring employees from that particular country rather than sending your country employees to work on their other countries. Means example you can take, if you are having a business in India and you are opened a new plant in USA, then you are hiring USA employees to look over the new plant rather than sending your country employees. Parent country nationals are acquiring a headquarter positions. Means in a polycentric staffing approach, the firm is appointing their country's employees in a key managerial positions in a headquarter. After success of their new branch in other country, next they plan to extend their many more branches in other countries. So here in that additional branches, they are going to hiring the other countries employees to look over a business. Next is geocentric approach. This kind of approach is adopted by third country nationals. In this approach, the key positions given to third country nationals, irrespective of their nationality. Means their main focus is get the right kind of the people for a right job. Here, as a firm, if you want to allocate a staff in other country, on that time you are not look overing that employees belongs to which country. You are just focusing on the quality, skills, or ability of the employees to do a particular job. So this process is called the geocentric approach. Like many companies, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Colgate, Microsoft, Google, these all are using this approach. These all companies CEO is in India, but all key positions given to third country nations. So that is called as a geocentric approach. Next is a regiocentric staffing approach. This leads to firm to try to blend its own interest with those of its subsidiaries on regional basis. Regiocentric staffing policy involves hiring and promoting employees based on specific regional where subsidiaries is located. Next, we will discuss process of international staffing. The first process start with international staffing is human resource planning. The meaning of human resource planning is to estimate the future demand for a particular position. Means here when a firm is engaging for estimating a human manpower required for a particular job based on the present situations. If existing staff is shorter, then they are planning to estimate the manpower required for future job fulfillment. That process is called a human resource planning. Next is recruitment and selection. After knowing the manpower requirement, next the firm is engaging for designing the recruitment or selection procedure. Recruitment is nothing but it is a process or it is a pool which is used by firms to attract the peoples to apply for a job vacancies. As you are planning to open a new plant in other countries, then the firm is engaging to designing a recruitment process to stimulate the other country peoples or their country peoples to apply for a particular job vacancies. So that process is called a recruitment. Next is selection. Once the candidates are applying for a job, next the firm is engaging for screening the different application forms and they selecting those applications which are matching with the job criteria. That process is called as selection. Third one is training and development. After selection, the next step in HRM is to train and develop the new candidates, particularly for those who are expected to be posted overseas. Means here once the firm is selected the employee, then the firms are engaging for training the employees. Why means as I said earlier, if you are planning to open your new branch in other countries and you are planning to send your employees to look over a business in other countries, the employees whom you send to other countries, they may be unaware about the other countries culture or legal environment or business environment. So that intention you are giving a training to make familiarize with the other countries working style. So that is called the training and development. The fourth one is performance management. Here the firms are look over into evaluating the performance of the employees based on the criteria or based on standard which is fixed by the firm. So means here standards are act as a benchmark which is helping for firms to be examine the performance level of the employees. Fifth step is compensation. This is a step where the firm is engaging to be designing a compensation package for a expected or for employees who are going to doing a business who are doing a business across the world. They may be also engaging for designing reward programs which may motivate or stimulate the employees' performance most effective and efficient manner. Sixth is repatriation. Repatriation means when you sent your employee in other countries to complete the assignment. Once the employee will complete their assignment and they are coming back to their own country, that process is called a repatriation. Means example, take the example, if you are having a business in India and you are plan to open a new plant in other countries. Once you sent your employee in other countries, after completion of the assignment in that particular country, that employees again coming back to your country. So that process is called a repatriation. Next, seventh is employee relation. It is one of the most important step in international staffing, because here the firms are engaging to make a business across the geographical locations. Means here the firms are hiring employees from their country as well as other countries. So they need to coordinate with the other country employees to conduct the business. So that process is called the employee relationship. So there are several steps are involved in international staffing. Next is international staffing choice. Staffing is a major IHRM practices that MNCs are required to coordinate. It is MNC's traditions to send parent country nationals abroad to ensure that the policies and procedures of the home office were being carried out in foreign operations. However, the cost or career issues may be there. MNCs are now increasingly turning into third country, home country and host country nationals to satisfy international staffing needs. Home country nationals and third country nationals are collectively referred as a expatriate. Means in international staffing choice we can see a two different kind of expatriate. One is different kind of the key parameters. One is the expatriates and second is a local managers. Expatriates, under the expatriate we can see a two different kind of the employees who are belongs to two different kind of nations. One may be home country nationals and one may be third country nationals. And next one we will discuss local managers who may belongs to host country. So first we will discuss which kind of international staffing choices are made by firms to do their business over across the world. So here first we will discuss expatriate. What do you mean by expatriation? Expatriation is nothing but it is a link between home and foreign operations, as it works as a network builder, or it may work as an agent of knowledge transfer, or it may work an agent of direct control and an agent of the socialization. It means here the meaning of expatriate means here, as I said you, if you are having a business in your country, your country may be France, and you are planning to open your branch in Paris. So you are going to be sending your country's employee to Paris to look over your new business. So when you are sending your employees to Paris to complete the assignment, that employee is called as a expatriate. So in expatriate we can see a two different kind of the expatriate. First is parent country national. In parent country national are also called as a home country national, or home country national, or citizen of the country where companies headquartered who are assigned to one of its foreign operation. Example, if Germany multinational selected a Germany managers to go to Africa, he or she would be a home country national. Means here German company, they have opened a new plant in France, and they are sending Germany employees to look over a business of foreign branch. So that employees are comes under a parent country nationals. We also can we discuss certain advantages which is firm is getting by parent country nationals. The first advantage may familiarity with the home office goals, objectives, policies and practices. Means employees are well aware about their headquarters goals, objectives or policies and practices, which is helping them to work on a other country. Second objective is there is smooth communication with home office person, because already companies are sending that kind of employees who are well familiar with the company. Next disadvantages of parent country nationals. Difficulties in adopting to the foreign language. It means when you are sending your employees in other country to do a business, it may create a problem for employees to adopt their country's language, or adopt their country's culture or other environment. Second disadvantage may cost of selecting, training, and maintaining expatriate managers and their families abroad. So when you are going to sending your employee in other countries to do your business, you need to give a training towards the employees about the country in where they are going to doing a work. Means then the employees whom you send to do a business in other country, they may not be aware about the working style or other parameters. So it is necessary for firms to train the employees to work in other countries by adopting their culture. So these are the disadvantages we can see in the case of the parent country nationals. Next type of expatriate is third country national. In third country national, employees of the firm who are citizen of neither the country where the firm is headquartered, or the foreign operations where they are assigned. It means third country national means, suppose if you are having a business in India and you are plan to open a new plant in the USA. So doing a business in USA, neither you are hiring the employee from your Indian country, or neither you are going to hiring the employee from USA country. You are going to hiring the employee from the other country. Other country may be Iran, Africa or South Korea or other thing. Means here you are just focusing on to seeing the ability or skills of the employees for doing a particular job, irrespective of the employee's country. So that is called the third country national. So in third country national, the firm also getting a certain advantages. The first advantage may be the TNCs are usually career international business managers, and second advantage may TNCs are usually less expensive to maintain than compared to the parent country nationals, and third country nationals may be better informed about the host environment rather than parent country nationals. Disadvantage means host countries sensitivity with respect to nationality of specific countries, and second disadvantage means local nationals are independent in their efforts to upgrade their own ranks and assume responsible positions in the multinational subsidiaries. So these are certain disadvantages we can be seen in the case of the third country nationals. So these two different kind of the nationals comes under a expectorate. Second one is local managers. Local managers are people recruited and employed to work in the country in which they are resident. Generally, they are citizen of that country. Local managers also called as a host country nationals. They are resident of the host country where the company has its focal operations. Example: if a German multinational hired a US manager to run the mine, he or she would be a host country national. It means it means Germany is going to be opening a new plant in a USA, and they are, instead of hiring the German country's employees, they are going to hiring a USA country employees to look over their business, because USA country employees are well familiar with their country's environments. So that is called the local managers. So advantages of hiring the local managers: the first advantage may familiarity with the socio econo political legal environment and with business practice in the host country. Means here you are going to hire in the host country employee, he already well known about that country's legal, political, economic or social environment, because he is a citizen of that particular country. Second is a low cost incurred in terms of hiring the employees as compared to the parent country national or third country nation. And next is disadvantages which we can see in the case of the host country nationals or local managers. First one is it's very difficult is to control over the subsidiary operations, because each and every operations or each and every business activities are carried out by host country employees rather than home country employees. And they are also facing a communication difficulties, because host country language may differ from the home country language. So these are certain disadvantages we can be seen in the case of the host country nations.